G'day guys, it's DP Bricks here with episode 13 of building a Republic artillery base in LEGO. As a quick recap, in the last episode I worked on changing some parts of the landscape around the Turbolaser, adding a few more rocky areas and adding some more colour into the terrain. I also did some Turbolaser building, which is what I'm hoping to finish this episode. To start off, I wanted to change some of the panelling on the base of the Turbolaser so that it looks a little wider, which in my opinion looks a lot better. Here I'm just working on continuing the Turbolaser upwards by figuring out the best way to build the angled panels that will lead into the main part of the Turbolaser. Alright guys, so here's a look at the progress I've made on the Turbolaser. And as you can see, I've finished off most of the panelling, and I've even added a few details on the back. I've added like a vent, as you can see, which I think looks pretty cool. I'm quite happy with all the angles I've managed to add into the build, which gives it that unique look that's pretty different from the usual Turbolaser that you see on the Death Star and on Scarif and all those places. But yeah, I've also been working on obviously the lasers of the build. As you can see, I've begun prototyping a design for that using some joint arms, wheel pieces and some cylindrical elements, and I think it turned out pretty well. And yeah. Alright guys, so it's been a few months since I recorded the footage you just watched, but I've managed to finish the entire Turbolaser. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to record any time lapses over those last few months because I hadn't really been building as much. But when I have been recently, it was tough trying to figure out what looked best. Like, I would spend a day perfecting a really small part of the Turbolaser and then repeat that basically over and over again, which took a lot of work. But I've finally managed to finish it off, which is pretty good. So I'll show you guys what I've done. As you can see here, I've changed the, you might not have noticed, but I've changed the design of the actual guns here. I've made them quite a bit shorter because I think if there's two of them and they're pretty long, it looks a little out of proportion. But making them smaller, I think it looks a lot better. You might have noticed these wires down here. I've actually wired some lighting into the guns themselves. I put like a little light here. Don't think you can see it, but I haven't connected it obviously to the power bank yet because I still want to be able to remove it pretty easily. So if I connect it, it's pretty hard to remove the actual thing like this, but it's much easier when they're unplugged. But once I finish the entire mock and I'm happy with the design of this completely, I'll probably end up plugging them in, and then these things will light up with red lights, which I think will be pretty cool. Moving on to the back, as you can see here, you can just turn it around. I've added a few sloped vents, which I think they line up with the turret, which is pretty cool. So it's like the exhaust from there vents out there. I've also added these things, which I think look pretty good. They make it look like it's curved, and they really shape nicely, as you can see from the side here into the back, which I think turned out pretty nicely as well. And then on the roof, I just tried to fill in the gaps. Obviously, I did some greebling here, which I might change, but right now I think everything's looking like pretty good. I don't think I need to make many more changes. Maybe a few things to do with the studs down here, because it is quite studdy down here compared to the studs up here. So that's something I might change, but right now I'm pretty happy that I just got it finished, and then I'll be able to move on to all the other stuff. So yeah. While the Turbolaser is pretty much done, I might decide to make some changes later, as there are still some small gaps in the build and a little bit of an unbalanced stud to tile ratio. But I think that's enough for this update. And even though this episode wasn't really that long in terms of footage, it definitely had a lot of progress, as the Turbolaser was definitely going to be one of the most challenging parts of the mock. So finally finishing it definitely brings the mock closer to completion. Anyway guys, thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great day.